Historically, mustard seeds were notorious for growing uncontrollable. Farmers avoided them because they would take over a field. Don't despise the seed. Your tree is in the making. I'm telling you, God has got something in the making in your life. Don't ever give up. But the kingdom starts small, but it's got God's DNA. Matthew 3:31 said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed." That's the kind of seed I was going to bring here. It's so tiny, it looks like a flake of a pepper, actually. And even in Jerusalem, we actually saw the actual mustard seed different than what we have in America. And it's even tinier, if you can believe that. He said, though it's the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest. It makes a tree, basically, taller than my head. And that tiny seed has God's blueprint in it. That's what's amazing. In that tiny seed has the height of that seed, has the color of that seed, it has the kind of fruit it's going to produce. When God saved me, the DNA that He gave me, I was a kid that had a speech impediment, but when God came and healed me and He saved me and His DNA was in me, the minister looked at me and he said, one day you will preach the gospel just like I am. So God had revealed to him that one day I would be standing up here preaching the gospel. How did that happen? Because the DNA that God put in me was going to make that happen. Whether I was a shy kid, I didn't want to be in front of anybody, and so we got to realize what you have in your life. That DNA, it may start small, but I'm telling you, even though you start small, the blueprint of God's inside of you. That's your faith. That's your calling. That's your story. It may start small, but it doesn't stay small. Historically, mustard seeds were notorious for growing uncontrollable. Farmers avoided them because they would take over a field. Don't despise the seed. Your tree is in the making. I'm telling you, God has got something in the making in your life. Don't ever give up. The real change in our life, it starts small. It starts hidden. He continues on with another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. I like this analogy here. You take a little bit of yeast, just a little bit of yeast, and it will eventually work. My wife bakes bread all the time, and she'll start in the night before to be just a little bit there. And in the morning, it may be overrunning the bowl that she's got it in. I mean, it just overnight, something happens. I think about this. Bonnie sings that song, that He's always working. He's always working. Even when you don't think He's working, He's working. When you don't see He's working, He's working. God is working His DNA out in our life. I think Teresa or Jeff or one of them were talking about, you plant a seed, you want to see if anything's happening because it's just underneath the ground and you can't see. And I know some of us, sometimes we feel like we're buried. But you could even bury us, but with the DNA of God, we're going to rise. Jesus, they buried Him. We finished Him. And Jesus already said, if you bury me, I'm just in 3 days, I'm coming up. I'm coming up because there's resurrection power in me. There's resurrection power in you. How many's buried a loved one? July 4th, 4 years ago, my dad died. And it was hard to do his funeral. But the hope I had within me was the fact that one day he will rise again. He'll come forth. In the meantime, his very spirit is in the presence of the Lord. Because when you're absent from the body, you're present with the Lord. And so, real change, sometimes it starts hidden. You can't see it. Yeast isn't loud. Yeast is not flashy, but it's powerful. That private devotion that you do at home, that nobody sees, that may be the most powerful thing you do. Because Jesus talked about doing things to be seen of man. What you're trying to do, a lot of people that's doing things to be seen of man, you're trying to walk around, hey, I want you to make sure you know that I'm not a weed. Are you trying to convince them, or are you trying to convince yourself? But I tell you what, when you rely on faith in God and the DNA of God, it doesn't matter if people think you're a weed right now or not. Because in due time, he said, don't become weary in well-doing. In due time, you will come forth. You'll be fruitful. And so we have to just rely on faith in God. I love the acrostic of faith, forsaking all, I trust Him. You got to trust in Him in faith. It isn't loud. It's not flashy. Yeast is not, but it's powerful. That's what it is when God works in us. That private devotion nobody sees. That obedience that you give in the dark. That seed of surrender when you say, God, I surrender all. Jeff preached about that. He tells us, don't worry about the weeds. The harvest will handle it. The harvest that is at the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. The righteous will shine like the sun.